If you're in your 40s right now, you're standing in the most important financial decade of your entire life. And I know that might sound dramatic, but think about what's happening all at once. Your expenses are probably higher than they've ever been. Maybe you're helping children through school. Maybe you're supporting aging parents. Maybe you're looking at retirement calculators and realizing retirement is no longer some distant event that's decades away. At the same time, the risks are changing. Companies are restructuring. Entire industries are being reshaped by automation and artificial intelligence. The cost of housing, healthcare, and insurance keeps climbing. And there's a growing pressure to look successful, even when many people are quietly struggling behind the scenes. The good news? Your 40s are also when your income, experience, and investing power can finally start working together. The decisions you make during this decade can create extraordinary financial momentum or leave you playing catch-up for the rest of your life. Hey, I'm Brian, and I spend way too much time thinking about how ordinary people build lasting wealth without sacrificing their entire lives in this process. In this video, I will share with you 8 major money milestones to accomplish in your 40s. Not the generic advice you've heard hundreds of times, but the specific steps that truly matter at this stage of your life. This first milestone may be the most important one on the entire list. Why? Because your 40s are when compound interest starts becoming visible. According to retirement planning research from Fidelity, a common benchmark is having roughly 6 times your annual income saved by age 50. If you're earning $75,000 per year, that's approximately $450,000 invested for retirement. And here's what makes this so urgent. Every dollar invested in your 40s has significantly less time to compound than a dollar invested in your 20s. You can still catch up, but the margin for error is shrinking. I saw this play out between 2 cousins of mine. Mark spent most of his 30s focusing on career growth. He earned good money, but rarely prioritized investing. At 45, he finally checked his retirement accounts and realized he had less than $200,000 saved. His brother David earned almost the same income but consistently invested 15 to 20% of his salary every year. By 46, David had accumulated nearly $500,000. The income wasn't the difference. The habit was. Here's what you should do. First, aim to contribute enough to capture every employer retirement match available. That's free money. Second, work toward maxing out retirement accounts whenever possible. In 2026, the employee contribution limit for a 401k plan is $24,500. Third, increase your contribution rate by 1% every year until you reach at least 15% of gross income. Remember, Brian, retirement investing is no longer just a future goal. It's a present responsibility. Now let's move to a milestone that quietly destroys wealth even for high-income earners. If you're new here and just subscribed, comment your name below. I read every comment and shout out new subscribers in my next video. I do appreciate you joining me on this finance journey. One of the biggest financial myths in America is that income determines wealth. In reality, the gap between what you earn and what you spend determines wealth. I think about 2 friends whenever this topic comes up. Tom is a neurosurgeon earning nearly $480,000 per year. He has the luxury vehicles, the massive house, the expensive vacations, the private school tuition. From the outside, he looks incredibly wealthy. Then there's Nick, a teacher earning around $65,000 annually. You would assume Tom is winning financially. He's not. Tom confessed to me that his savings rate was almost non-existent because every raise immediately became a larger lifestyle. Nick, meanwhile, consistently invested, avoided unnecessary upgrades, and quietly built an investment portfolio worth over $500,000. Research from behavioral economists has repeatedly shown that humans quickly adapt to higher levels of consumption. What feels luxurious today becomes normal tomorrow. That's why lifestyle inflation is so dangerous. Here's what to do. First, whenever you receive a raise, direct at least 50% of it toward investing before it ever reaches your checking account. Second, cap major lifestyle upgrades unless your net worth is growing faster than your spending. Third, track your savings rate, not just your income. A target of 20 to 25% is a powerful benchmark during your 40s. Every unnecessary lifestyle upgrade has an opportunity cost. That $10,000 spending increase isn't just $10,000. Invested at 8% annually over 20 years, it could have become nearly $47,000. That's the real price. And speaking of protection, let's talk about the financial shock absorber every 40-something household needs. For years, the standard advice was simple. Save 3 to 6 months of expenses. For many people in their 40s, that's no longer enough. The reason is simple. Mid-career professionals often face longer periods of unemployment if they lose a job. Higher salaries frequently mean longer job searches. According to data from the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics and various labor market studies, experienced workers can spend months finding equivalent positions after layoffs. I watched this happen to my uncle Robert. At 48, he was earning a strong income in a management role. Then his company reorganized and eliminated his position. He assumed he'd find another job quickly. It took almost 9 months. Fortunately, Robert had substantial cash reserves and survived without touching retirement accounts. His coworker wasn't so fortunate. After only a few months without income, she began withdrawing retirement funds and accumulating credit card debt simply to cover basic expenses. The difference wasn't intelligence, it was preparation. Here's your action plan. Calculate your essential monthly expenses: housing, food, insurance, transportation, utilities. Multiply that number by 9 to 12 months. That's your target. Keep those funds in a high-yield savings account earning competitive interest rather than a traditional bank account paying almost nothing. And automate monthly transfers until the fund is fully built. Some people view emergency savings as idle money. I don't. It's financial oxygen. You don't appreciate oxygen until you can't breathe. And once you've built that protection, the next milestone helps ensure your money works for you instead of your lenders. By the time you reach your 40s, consumer debt should be viewed as an emergency. Credit card balances, personal loans, vehicle debt that's consuming cash flow month after month. These obligations quietly steal your future wealth. The average credit card interest rate today often exceeds 20%. Very few investments can reliably outperform that. I remember two neighbors who provided a perfect comparison. Jason carried roughly $1,000 per month in combined debt payments. He focused on minimum payments and assumed he would eventually deal with it. Meanwhile, Karen attacked every non-mortgage debt aggressively. She redirected bonuses, tax refunds, and extra income toward elimination. Within a few years, she became debt-free. Then something powerful happened. Every dollar that had previously gone toward lenders started flowing into investments. Let's do the math. If you eliminate $1,000 in monthly debt payments and invest that same amount for 20 years earning 8% annually, you could accumulate approximately $279,000. Think about that. Aggressively paying off debt is not a sacrifice. It is a $279,000 investment decision. Here's what you should do. List every non-mortgage debt from highest interest rate to lowest. Attack the highest rate debt first while maintaining minimum payments on the rest. Apply windfalls like bonuses and tax refunds directly to principal reduction. And avoid financing depreciating assets whenever possible. Financial freedom isn't just about growing wealth. It's about removing the obstacles that prevent wealth from growing. And once you've eliminated those obstacles, you're ready for the next milestone: creating income streams that don't depend entirely on a single employer. Now that your debt is under control, it's time to address one of the biggest financial risks facing people in their 40s: depending entirely on a single paycheck. For most of your career, that may have worked just fine. But the reality today is different. Industries change faster. Companies restructure more often. Entire job categories can disappear surprisingly quickly. That's why building an additional income stream is no longer just a wealth-building strategy. It's a risk management strategy. I saw this firsthand with my cousin Eric. For years, Eric worked a standard corporate job. Good income, good benefits, stable career. Then he started creating simple tutorial content online related to software and artificial intelligence tools he already used every day. Nothing fancy, no massive audience, no overnight success story. But over time, that side project began generating roughly $36,000 per year. Then his company announced layoffs. While many coworkers panicked, Eric remained calm because he wasn't dependent on one source of income anymore. Contrast that with another friend who earned a higher salary but had no backup income whatsoever. When his job disappeared, his entire financial plan disappeared with it. According to research from multiple labor market studies, households with diversified income sources are generally more resilient during economic downturns. Here's what you should do. First, Identify skills you've already spent decades developing. Teaching, consulting, writing, project management, bookkeeping, sales, design, or technical expertise can all become income streams. Second, commit 5 to 10 hours per week to building something that can eventually generate at least $500 to $1,000 monthly. Third, automatically invest a large percentage of every side income dollar, rather than allowing it to inflate your lifestyle. Remember, Lisa, your goal isn't necessarily to replace your job. It's to ensure your future doesn't depend entirely on one employer. And speaking of protecting your future, let's talk about protecting the people you love. This next milestone isn't exciting. Nobody brags about it. Nobody posts about it on social media. But it may be one of the most important financial acts of responsibility you'll ever complete. Because if you have children, a spouse, assets, or even aging parents depending on you, failing to create an estate plan can create enormous stress for the people you care about most. I learned this lesson from two families. My friend Kevin's father passed away unexpectedly with a clear will, updated beneficiary designations, healthcare directives, and powers of attorney. The process was difficult emotionally, but legally, everything was straightforward. The second family wasn't so fortunate. There was no updated will. Beneficiaries hadn't been reviewed in years. Family members spent months dealing with confusion, legal expenses, and unnecessary conflict. According to surveys from organizations such as Caring.com, a majority of adults still do not have a valid estate plan in place. That's astonishing. Here's your action plan. Create a legally valid will. Establish a healthcare power of attorney and financial power of attorney. Review every retirement account, investment account, insurance policy, and bank account to verify beneficiary designations are current. Many people think estate planning is about death. It isn't. It's about protecting the people who continue living. And once you've protected your family legally, there's another major financial risk that deserves attention before it becomes a crisis. Here's a statistic that gets very little attention. According to the United States Department of Health and Human Services, approximately 70% of Americans reaching age 65 will require some form of long-term care during their lifetime. 70%. Yet most people spend decades planning for retirement, while spending almost no time planning for long-term care expenses. And those costs are enormous. Depending on location and level of care, a private nursing facility room can cost anywhere from roughly $9,500 to over $13,000 per month. I watched my aunt's retirement savings take a significant hit after years of long-term care expenses for a family member. Meanwhile, another family I know planned decades ahead and avoided much of that financial strain. The difference was preparation. You have three primary options. Option 1. Explore long-term care insurance while you're still healthy enough to qualify at reasonable rates. Investigate hybrid insurance products that combine life insurance with long-term care benefits. Option 3. Intentionally build enough assets to self-insure if your net worth eventually reaches that level. The key is making a decision before you need care, because once you need it, your options become dramatically more limited. And that brings us to the final milestone. A milestone that's about something even more valuable than money itself. When you're younger, money often feels scarce, and time feels abundant. In your 40s, something interesting happens. You begin realizing time is becoming the more valuable resource. You can always earn more money. You cannot earn more years. I learned this from my friend Sarah. For years, she handled every household task herself. Cleaning, yard work, administrative tasks, endless errands. She viewed outsourcing as wasteful. Then she calculated something. Her professional expertise effectively generated approximately $75 per hour, yet she was spending countless hours performing tasks that could be outsourced for $25 per hour. She wasn't saving money. She was losing high-value time. Research on happiness and life satisfaction consistently finds that spending money to reduce time stress often creates more happiness than spending money on additional possessions. Here's what you should do. Identify repetitive tasks that consume hours every week. Calculate what your time is realistically worth. Then selectively outsource lower-value activities. When financially reasonable, use that reclaimed time to improve health, strengthen relationships, develop income-producing skills, or simply enjoy life. Because the ultimate purpose of building wealth isn't accumulating numbers on a statement. It's creating freedom, and that leads perfectly into our final takeaway. Let's bring all of this together. More retirement savings means more freedom in your 60s and beyond. Less lifestyle inflation means more wealth regardless of your income level. A larger emergency fund means greater resilience during economic uncertainty. Eliminating consumer debt means more cash flow working for your future instead of your lenders. Building additional income streams means less dependence on a single employer. Creating an estate plan means greater protection for the people you love. Preparing for long-term care means avoiding one of retirement's largest financial threats. And buying back your time means using wealth for its ultimate purpose: freedom, flexibility, and peace of mind. The truth is that your 40s are not simply another decade. They are the bridge between the wealth-building years and the years when you'll begin relying on the decisions you've already made. The choices you make in this decade will shape the decades that follow. So let me know in the comments, which of these milestones do you think is the most important? And if you found this helpful, subscribe to the channel and check out the next video, where we'll break down the financial mistakes that quietly keep millions of people from ever reaching financial independence. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.